Hear the word of the Lord. 2 Chronicles chapter 29. Hezekiah became king when he was 25 years old, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Abijah, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did what was right in the sight of Yahweh, according to all that David his father had done. In the first year of his reign, in the first month, he opened the doors of the house of Yahweh and repaired them. And he brought in the priests and the Levites and gathered them into the square on the east. Then he said to them, "Listen to me, O Levites. Set yourselves apart now as holy, and set apart as holy the house of Yahweh, the God of your fathers, and bring out the impurity from the holy place. For our fathers have been unfaithful, and have done what is evil in the sight of Yahweh our God, and have forsaken him, and turned their faces away from the dwelling place of Yahweh, and have turned their backs. They have also shut the doors of the porch, and put out the lamps, and have not burned incense or burnt offerings in the holy place to the God of Israel. Therefore the wrath of Yahweh was against Judah and Jerusalem, and he has made them an object of terror, of horror, and of hissing, as you see with your own eyes. And behold, our fathers have fallen by the sword, and our sons and our daughters and our wives are in captivity for this. Now it is in my heart to cut a covenant with Yahweh, the God of Israel, that his burning anger may turn away from us. My sons, do not be at ease now, for Yahweh has chosen you to stand before him, to minister to him, and to be his ministers and offer offerings up in smoke." Then the Levites arose, Mahath the son of Amasai, and Joel the son of Azariah, from the sons of the Kohathites. And from the sons of Merari, Kish the son of Abdi, and Azariah the son of Jehalalel. And from the Gershonites, Joah the son of Zimmah, and Eden the son of Joah. And from the sons of Elizaphan, Shimri and Jael. And from the sons of Asaph, Zechariah and Mattaniah. And from the sons of Heman, Jehiel and Shimei. And from the sons of Jeduthun, Shemaiah and Uzziel. And they gathered their brothers, set themselves apart as holy, and went in to cleanse the house of Yahweh according to the commandment of the king by the words of Yahweh. So the priests went in to the inner part of the house of Yahweh to cleanse it, and every unclean thing which they found in the temple of Yahweh they brought out to the court of the house of Yahweh. Then the Levites received it to bring out to the Kidron Valley to an outer area. Then they began to set it apart as holy on the first day of the first month, and on the 8th day of the month they entered the porch of Yahweh. Then they set apart the house of Yahweh as holy in 8 days, and completed it on the 16th day of the first month. Then they went in to King Hezekiah and said, "We have cleansed the whole house of Yahweh, the altar of burnt offering with all its utensils, and the table of showbread with all of its utensils. Moreover, all the utensils which King Ahaz had rejected during his reign in his unfaithfulness, we have prepared and set apart as holy. And behold, they are before the altar of Yahweh." Then King Hezekiah arose early, and gathered the princes of the city, and went up to the house of Yahweh. And they brought 7 bulls, 7 rams, 7 lambs, and 7 male goats for a sin offering for the kingdom, the sanctuary, and Judah. And he ordered the priests, the sons of Aaron, to offer them on the altar of Yahweh. So they slaughtered the bulls, and the priests took the blood and splashed it on the altar. They also slaughtered the rams and splashed the blood on the altar. They slaughtered the lambs also and splashed the blood on the altar. Then they had the male goats of the sin offering approach before the king and the assembly, and they laid their hands on them. And the priests slaughtered them and purged the altar with their blood to atone for all Israel. For the king ordered the burnt offering and the sin offering for all Israel. Then he caused the Levites to stand in the house of Yahweh with cymbals, with harps, and with lyres, according to the command of David, and of Gad the king's seer, and of Nathan the prophet, for the command was from Yahweh by the hand of his prophets. And the Levites stood with musical instruments of David, and the priests with the trumpets. Then Hezekiah said to offer the burnt offering on the altar. When the burnt offering began, the song to Yahweh also began with the trumpets, accompanied by the instruments of David, king of Israel. While the whole assembly worshipped, the singers also sang, and the trumpets sounded. All this continued until the burnt offering was completed. Now, at the completion of the burnt offerings, the king and all who were present with him bowed down and worshipped. Moreover, King Hezekiah and the officials ordered the Levites to sing praises to Yahweh with the words of David and Asaph the seer. So they sang praises with gladness and bowed down and worshipped. Then Hezekiah answered and said, Now that you have become ordained to Yahweh, approach and bring sacrifices and thank offerings to the house of Yahweh. And the assembly brought sacrifices and thank offerings, and all those who were willing of heart brought burnt offerings. And the number of the burnt offerings which the assembly brought was 70 bulls, 100 rams, and 200 lambs. All these were for a burnt offering to Yahweh. And the holy things were 600 bulls and 3,000 sheep. But the priests were too few, so that they were unable to skin all the burnt offerings. Therefore their brothers the Levites helped them until the work was completed, and until the other priests had set themselves apart as holy. For the Levites were more upright of heart to set themselves apart as holy than the priests. There were also many burnt offerings with the fat of the peace offerings, and with the drink offerings for the burnt offerings. Thus the service of the house of Yahweh was established again. Then Hezekiah and all the people were glad over what God had prepared for the people, because the thing came about suddenly. 2 Chronicles chapter 30. And Hezekiah sent to all Israel and Judah, and wrote letters also to Ephraim and Manasseh, that they should come to the house of Yahweh at Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover to Yahweh, the God of Israel. And the king and his princes, and all the assembly in Jerusalem, had taken counsel to celebrate the Passover in the 2nd month, since they could not celebrate it at that time, because the priests had not set themselves apart as holy in sufficient numbers, nor had the people been gathered to Jerusalem. Thus the thing was right in the eyes of the king and in the eyes of all the assembly. So they established a decree to make a proclamation pass throughout all Israel, from Beersheba even to Dan, that they should come to celebrate the Passover to Yahweh, the God of Israel, at Jerusalem, for they had not celebrated it in great numbers, as it was written. And the couriers went throughout all Israel and Judah with the letters from the hand of the king and his princes, even according to the commandment of the king, saying, O sons of Israel, return to Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, that he may return to those of you who escaped and remain from the hand of the kings of Assyria. Now do not be like your fathers and your brothers, who were unfaithful to Yahweh, the God of their fathers, so that he made them an object of horror, as you see. Now do not stiffen your neck like your fathers, but give your hand to Yahweh and enter his sanctuary, which he has set apart as holy forever, and serve Yahweh your God, that his burning anger may turn away from you. For when you return to Yahweh, your brothers and your sons will find compassion before those who led them captive, and will return to this land. For Yahweh your God is gracious and compassionate, and will not turn his face away from you if you return to him. So the couriers passed from city to city, through the country of Ephraim and Manasseh, and as far as Zebulun. But they were laughing at them, to scorn and mocking them. Nevertheless, some men of Asher, Manasseh, and Zebulun humbled themselves and came to Jerusalem. The hand of God was also on Judah, to give them one heart to do what the king and the princes commanded by the word of Yahweh. Now many people were gathered at Jerusalem to celebrate the Feast of Unleavened Bread in the 2nd month, a very large assembly. And they arose and took away the altars which were in Jerusalem. They also took away all the incense altars and cast them into the brook Kidron. Then they slaughtered the Passover lambs on the 14th of the 2nd month, and the priests and the Levites were ashamed of themselves, and set themselves apart as holy, and brought burnt offerings to the house of Yahweh. And they stood at their stations, according to the legal judgment for them, according to the law of Moses the man of God. The priests splashed the blood which they received from the hand of the Levites. For there were many in the assembly who had not set themselves apart as holy. Therefore the Levites were over the slaughter of the Passover lambs for everyone who was unclean, in order to set them apart as holy to Yahweh. For a multitude of the people, even many from Ephraim and Manasseh, Issachar and Zebulun, had not cleansed themselves, yet they ate the Passover otherwise than what was written. For Hezekiah prayed for them, saying, May Yahweh who is good atone for everyone who prepares his heart to seek God, Yahweh, the God of his fathers, though not according to the rules of cleansing of the sanctuary. So Yahweh heard Hezekiah and healed the people. And the sons of Israel present in Jerusalem celebrated the Feast of Unleavened Bread for 7 days with great gladness. And the Levites and the priests praised Yahweh day after day with loud instruments to Yahweh. Then Hezekiah spoke to the hearts of all the Levites, who showed good insight in the things of Yahweh. So they ate for the appointed 7 days, sacrificing peace offerings and giving thanks to Yahweh, the God of their fathers. Then the whole assembly took counsel to determine to celebrate the feast another 7 days. So they celebrated the 7 days with gladness. For Hezekiah, king of Judah, had contributed to the assembly 1,000 bulls and 7,000 sheep, and the princes had contributed to the assembly 1,000 bulls and 10,000 sheep, and a large number of priests set themselves apart as holy. And all the assembly of Judah were glad, with the priests and the Levites and all the assembly that came from Israel, both the sojourners who came from the land of Israel and those living in Judah. So there was great gladness in Jerusalem, because there was nothing like this in Jerusalem since the days of Solomon the son of David, king of Israel. Then the Levitical priests arose and blessed the people, and their voice was heard, and their prayer came to his holy habitation, to heaven.